You mentioned that you're lucky, but again, luck is just preparation meets opportunity. I'm sure you've done all of the hard work, went the extra miles and beyond.
And I came back and my father's welcoming present was to cut my salary in half and say, welcome to the family business. I think that was lesson number one. There were three constant streams of information you had to navigate. There was the current customer, there was the future technology, and then there was building and sorting problems out simultaneously. And that's been the foundation of a lot of my learnings. Learning how to build team dynamics, understanding how to fail faster. Fear. There's a lot of fear in business. There's a lot of dependency in business. And then you have to understand where to move on from fear and dependency as well. So all of that maturity gradually came to a point where you then can take a leadership role confidently. You're learning. You can't be a leader from the beginning. You have to learn. You have to get your fingers burnt. You have to be open to making mistakes. And once you move out of your own way, then you can step into a leadership role.
Hello, Winners community. My guest today is a seasoned leader in the FinTech industry and a pioneering force in the development of FinTech ecosystems and solutions, a passionate advocate for innovation with an extensive network of relationships with VCs, incubators, accelerators, startups, angel syndicates, locally and globally, with the goal of driving economic growth and job opportunities in the Middle East and beyond. Gaurav Dhar, welcome to the Inners.
Thank you so much for having me, Ali. It's great to be here.
It's a great privilege having you and someone of your caliber.
Anytime. Just call, I'll show up.
And I will do that. I'll take you up on it.
You got it.
Excellent. So let's start from the early beginnings and the time lapse of probably the first 20 years.
Well, I'll try and pack it in as easily and how can I say, digestive manner as possible. So the first 20 years of my life as a Dubai resident and a Sharjah resident was very formative. So growing up here was it was an experience. You saw everything being built around you. And till I was 10, I studied in Dubai. And you built a community of friends, everyone knew each other, businesses were just starting. Very young ecosystem from a business perspective, a culture perspective, but it was a genuine melting pot. And then the next 10 years was spent studying abroad around the world. So I was very privileged to be able to study in India, in the United Kingdom, do a number of educational exercises, and then finally come back to Dubai to start my working career.
Wonderful. Let's come to the exciting part where the magic happened.
Right. So 20 years later, start working my first job. It's with an international FinTech from Paris, France, called Overture Card Systems. I worked there for a year, and then I got a phone call from my father saying, I need you to come back to work with the family business. Things are changing, things are growing. And at that time, him and my brother said they needed more people who, from a trusted point of view, could help them grow the business. And I came back and my father's welcoming present was to cut my salary in half and say, welcome to the family business. I think that was lesson number one.
Well, family come first.
Exactly. So the learnings started from there. And with the company, we were pretty much the first payment technology company in the whole of the Middle East, Africa, and India. And that was because my father was an extreme visionary. He traveled the world, he looked at technology, he looked at opportunities, and looked at things from a 5 to 10 year point of view. What can I build? What can I grow? Where can I build other things where over a period of time, a business could be defensible and add value, and you can grow organically without too much stress. With all that in mind, he built a 40-year-old business that I've had the pleasure of being part of for 20 years. And when I joined, it was a 10 to 12-year journey of learning the business. There were three constant streams of information you had to navigate. There was the current customer, there was the future technology, and then there was building and sorting problems out simultaneously. It taught me a lot in how to work with people, how to work with parallel visions and execute in multiple countries. I'm very grateful for that. And that's been the foundation of a lot of my learnings. That allowed me to evolve the company to its next natural step, which was to become bought, become valuable, become equitable. And so a sovereign wealth fund from Bahrain found us and acquired the company 4 years ago. And they retained me as CEO, and I'm taking the company to its next natural exit. So inshallah, as they say, there'll be another exit opportunity soon. So I hope to exit the business twice in a 5-year period. And that's been a fundamental cornerstone of my ability to do all the other things I do today. So I'm very fortunate, I'm very privileged, I'm very lucky. And I think this is my phase of giving back and benefiting and growing all at the same time in another part of my life and journey outside of just what was the family business.
Well, congratulations on the accomplishment. And you mentioned that you're lucky, but again, luck is just preparation meets opportunity. I'm sure you've done all of the hard work, went the extra miles and beyond. So what are the challenges that you had to overcome to be where you are right now?
Well, to start with, when you work in a family business, there's always the internal challenges that you face. So I think being able to navigate personal relationships is an extremely valuable lesson. Understanding how to communicate, understanding how to handle pressure, understanding what is required to make the business grow. So if you can juggle effectively, prioritize effectively, and keep a constant vision while executing, it sounds simplistic, but it's a lot of work. And it's not a lot of work outward. It's a lot of work inward too. Understanding your own capacity, understanding your own propensity to be flexible, learn, adapt. What can you do? What can't you do? The most successful businesses I have been part of, apart from mine, is where I see the recognition in other founders and entrepreneurs of them being clear. What can I do? What can't I do? Where do I need to work with other people? And where do I need to let go? And that learning basis was a huge challenge internally with a family business because it's personal.
It is, absolutely, yeah.
You can work for a corporate, but you can clock out. You could take it personally by choice, but in a family business, you really don't have any choice. So it was a very tough exercise, stepping out of a big shadow, trying to build credibility, value, a track record, very young, internally and externally for the business, because the industry is very small. So when you mention a pioneer's name, you are associated as the pioneer's son. So to escape that tagline is very tough as well. It's very sticky.
Step out of the shadow.
Oh, absolutely. So that in itself was a gargantuan task. So you have to really manage your own ego. And ego is a tricky thing to handle for people today. It's subconscious and conscious interactions of your ego where you really realize you need to sometimes get out of your own way to make things happen. So it's been an excellent exercise. And from there, learning how to build team dynamics, understanding how to fail faster. Fear. There's a lot of fear in business. There's a lot of dependency in business. And then you have to understand where to move on from fear and dependency as well. So there are a lot of challenges on technology, advancement, economics. So all of that maturity gradually came to a point where you then can take a leadership role confidently because you're learning. You can't be a leader from the beginning. You have to learn, you have to get your fingers burnt, you have to make mistakes, you have to be open to making mistakes, and you have to be open to learning more quickly. And once you move out of your own way, then you can step into a leadership role. And that's when you step into a leadership role, you look at things very differently. It's amazing how you can be in a management role, an operational role, thinking that you can be the leader. But when you do become the leader and you take that space, things look very different from that point of view. And so do the responsibilities.
Absolutely. Different animal.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. It's another learning curve. So it's another evolution. And then you learn how to navigate your external and internal perspective completely from a responsibility level. That's not just a team. It's this entire organic system. It's not just hands and feet, it's arms, legs, organs. So you're managing the entire ecosystem now, and the buck stops with you. So if anything goes wrong, there's a single point of failure, and it's governance. And it might look easy from a compartmental point of view. Operations manager might think that things look easy for you. A finance person might look easy for you. But you have to know all their jobs. You have to know everything. And sometimes you have to know things better than them. So it's been a wonderful, but a very tough experience. And that's why, my next avatar is why I do so much investing in entrepreneurs, because I understand the journey.
Okay. Please take us on that journey.
Being an entrepreneur has been an extremely tough journey myself, and I sympathize with people who are starting from scratch. Like I said earlier, I recognize that I'm very privileged because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. So I had a head start. So when I look at entrepreneurs who are starting from nothing, from zero, no background, but a lot of will, a lot of drive and expertise, I empathize and sympathize with them to give them as much experience, knowledge that I can in terms of people, the ecosystem, and funding to help them start their businesses or grow their businesses. So 7 years ago, I started investing in companies in Europe, the United States, North America, Canada, Africa. And it just spiraled out of control organically. People kept introducing me to entrepreneurs. Venture capitalists liked what I had to say with my experience and started introducing me to more entrepreneurs. And fast forward today, I have exposure to over 500 companies globally on a personal mandate. I sit on the investment committee of Saudi Angels. We just launched, and I'm a founding member of Angel Spark, which is a benevolent angel supergroup that we started and actually even just started funding from last month already. We launched at Jitex Expand North Star. So yeah, I sit on the advisory board of a number of fintechs globally. And I can say, now that, for example, I've been privileged to also be a part of the first fintech unicorn in the Middle East with Hassam Arab and Tabi, where he was kind enough to allow me to participate in one of the earliest rounds of investing in Tabi. So I have stories like that, but in Latin America, in Africa, in Singapore, all over the world, to different degrees, because I can empathize. I think I can add value and bring communities globally and minds together. So that's that awakening of understanding my capability set and trying to connect with other people, because we're in a borderless world when it comes to technology, innovation, entrepreneurship, and investing. I've sort of organically fallen into that river and enjoyed swimming in it till now. It's been fantastic. It's been unbelievable.
Do you enjoy more the technical part or the human interaction part?
I enjoy the long-term problem-solving part. And what do I mean by that? I mean by problems always exist when you're building a business that's trying to be disruptive and change the world, or change an economy, or change an industry. And because those problems are nonstop, there's different ways of solving those problems, long-term and short-term. And what I like to do is I like to talk to entrepreneurs and ask them, what are their problems now? And because I empathize with them, I feel and understand what problems will come in the future. So that's why I try and guide them as best with my own experience and my own failures on what not to do, how to structure things to protect themselves so that they can focus on building the business while not burning out, while not taking things too personally, while getting the right kind of fundamental results, protecting them from bad actors or investors that don't add value, perhaps. So it's kind of a mission statement for me to protect these entrepreneurs as best I can with my own network, with my own funding, with my own capability sets and knowledge, so that they can genuinely contribute on their mission statement to build these businesses, change the ecosystem, hire and create more jobs. And eventually, when they build these businesses and they sell these companies, they've created mini versions of themselves that go out and sort of replicate and start building more businesses and create more jobs. So if one can equal 5 more companies and 5 more companies come from those 5 companies and you just keep going from that fundamental, the talent pool becomes great, the investors get rewards, the ecosystem grows, things change, and it's in a good way. And so I want to do that where people don't take advantage of entrepreneurs, cannibalize them. There are a lot of people out there who are gatekeepers, who are, might not have the best intentions in mind. And that's okay. But as long as the entrepreneurs are not affected overall, and these bad actors might contribute fundamentally to a small portion of the business and not take away from it, it's okay if everyone participates. But it's very important to me as a personal mission.
Congratulations on the accomplishment. And this is an admirable purpose. More power to you.
Thank you. This is my home. This is the UAE. I was born here. This is my country. I represent it as an ambassador. There's a joke I tell everybody when I meet them, and they say, "Oh, how long have you been in Dubai or the UAE?" I say, "I'm an honorary Emirati," and that's the way I represent myself. Right? I might be of Indian origin, but I truly consider myself to be one of the people here because it benefits the whole community. Now, whether I have an Emirati passport or not doesn't matter to me. It's because the Emirati people treat me like one of their own. And whether it's government policy, whether it's business, you really feel that. You really feel welcome here. You really feel like their intentions are for the whole, not just for themselves. And that's very important to me long term. So I don't think twice about giving back or trying to grow this ecosystem in whatever small way I can.
Likewise, and I'm with you on this. Been here 14 years and have been visiting the UAE since 2005, and it sparked this interest to be part of this amazing journey and transformational visionary approach where the future is actually happening right now around us in front of our eyes, and actually what is better than being part of it. And this country is home for us, although we don't, as you mentioned, hold a passport, but it ignites in you this sense of belonging. And every time when we're abroad, like just after probably spending 10 days or 2 weeks, you feel that itch to go back home. And when you're in the airport seeing just the red of Emirates Airlines, say, okay, we're there.
Yeah.
So yes, we have to be the best ambassadors actually when we're abroad and honor the visionary mission of this great country. Absolutely.
It really is a place where you can do anything. I think they've proven time and time again they can reinvent themselves with substance and maturity.
Absolutely.
One of the passions I have is old vintage cars. And I've had this dream since I was 14 years old. There's this wonderful race in Italy called the Mille Miglia, which means 1,000 miles. And it's been going on since 1927. And it's considered the hero race of all, as close as you can get to Le Mans and Formula One with a historical event, really. It's a beautiful thing. And I know in this country, there's been an attempt 2 or 3 times to try and get the Mille Miglia to come here. And I always wanted to be a part of it somehow because I love the stories on cars and, mechanics, very analog. It's the opposite extreme of my love for technology is this extreme analog experience. It's very, very, tangible and hands-on. The smells and the experience and everything else of driving these cars and the people, the passion is real. So it took 14 years old. I thought to myself, wouldn't it be lovely if this race would come to this country? And I think at 40, which is last year, we launched it for the first time with the Italian government. And the way we did it was when we went and raced in Italy for the first time with Mr. Shahab Gargash, who is the chairman of the Octanium Group here as part of the initiative to bring the Mille Miglia here. We did it in such a lovely way with Dubai Super Police. I mean, could you imagine? We had the Dubai Super Police send one of their cars with us to escort us and race with us throughout the whole of Italy on an ambassadorial role. So we had the Italian Super Police and the Dubai Super Police with us the whole way for the race. And it was a fantastic way of the Italian government and this wonderful race joining hands with the UAE and bringing that initiative here. And this year we have 120 cars from all over the world. I mean, you're talking something like, I think it's like $350 million worth of cars you'll never see here that will come here for a week of racing around the UAE and then go back. And it's become a tradition and it's become a permanent spot on the calendar. But there was a blank space there. There was nothing there. Now it's a permanent fixture. I mean, how brilliant is that?
There you go. Very, very forward thinking.
Yeah, I mean, the ecosystem is growing to a space now where the UAE is so diverse, so dynamic that you really can do anything if you really understand how this ecosystem works. If you invest time in the space, it rewards you. Just be patient in certain circumstances. So I'm living testament and proof that if you want to do anything in the UAE, you can.
There is no glass ceiling for growth over here, and the opportunities are infinite. But if you would pick and choose, which ones would be, or which sectors would be your go-to?
I think for me right now, the UAE, if I zoom out from a macro point of view, is going through a quiet sort of manufacturing industrialization process in the background. It's not very highlighted, but it's happening. So people who understand that populations are growing around the UAE, so in countries like Egypt, in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, neighboring countries, not just the UAE, manufacturing seems to be a pretty quiet, dark horse, which I think will become more magnified in the next 5 years with things that are happening in vehicles, things that are happening in production of foods. I think, industrialization of networks like electrification of, electric vehicles. You'll have electrification of petrol stations. There are many initiatives which are happening quietly in the background on the macro side, which are pretty interesting for big industrial business. But on the hyper growth, very quick wins, very quick disruption, very quick establishment, technology. And technology has become a leading point for interest and FDI, foreign direct investment in the UAE. A number of venture capital funds, a number of private equity funds globally are looking to set up here because of the opportunities not only the UAE has, but around the region as well. And the UAE has proved time and time again that it is resilient enough during COVID and other opportunities to provide the best landing spot for people to build ecosystems from an investment point of view and business building point of view. So today, if you look at VARA, which is the Virtual Assets Regulated Authority, it's a regulatory authority constructed from scratch for the Web3 world. Who else has done that? Nobody. And you see a number of massive institutions coming to the region and being created quietly in the region. So the opportunities for technology-based businesses are truly global today. You don't have to be sitting in the country where you are servicing products from a technology point of view. I mean, you can later from an infrastructure idea or a support structure idea, but to start, you can build global businesses here in the UAE from a technology point of view, and we're proving it. And it's going to happen. You're going to see it more and more often. The IPO market will open up in the next 2 years, and you'll see many listings encouraged by just this thesis. So it's a very interesting time. Very interesting.
That is very, very motivating and also inspirational. Yet, is it only fintech or is technology in general?
No, it's. I have a bias for fintech just because it's my background. So from that point of view, for me to give insights, comment, have some sort of expertise in the payment space, or perhaps in some of my categories of investments of buy now, pay later, or lending, or credit, or collections, I think I can comment there. But no, it's definitely not just fintech. I mean, it's much, much, much larger. We're hearing a lot of buzz around AI, but actually there's a lot of substance to it. So for example, if you look at Falcon, which is in the UAE, it's actually ranked one of the top 5, if not one of the top 10 AI systems base in the world from a capability set point of view. So it's not just all talk. So AI seems to be moving. We have our AI minister as well, which you well know. But the metaverse space is also something that, while it's taken a bit of a back step in terms of how it's been embraced, it's still very, very relevant. Even blockchain technology is here. You look at blockchain technology, the implementation has just started. You don't have to know you're using blockchain technology, but the benefits are there. So the way people are adopting these new technologies, it's not just fintech at all. It's artificial intelligence. You're looking at media. You're looking at AI-based applications across all businesses, and it's being embraced very strongly. So fintech is just one category.
And speaking of fintech, do you think we'll come to a point where cash is dead?
So it's always interesting you say that. So this region is not a creator of new fintech. It's not. It's a place that adopts fintech ideas and implements them to cause disruption and value in this ecosystem. So and that's not to minimize, by the way, or diminish the efforts of people building fintech businesses. I just want to be very clear on that, because the effort is still as gargantuan. And I still have as much respect, if not more, for people that can take and execute ideas better than others who haven't come here. So I just want to make that caveat very, very clear. But when you look at cash and you look at this ecosystem, cash is something where it always reminds me of a story of what happened in San Francisco. In Amazon, Amazon has some stores called Amazon Go. And with the Amazon Go technology, what happens is you walk into a store, it sees your face, it knows your account, and lets you in. That's it. You take a shopping basket, you load it up, you walk to an exit point, it looks at your face, it says, okay, you finished your shopping journey, it's recorded your entire purchase cycle, and you walk out. You haven't put your hand into your pocket once, you haven't given your credit card details, it's all over, it's finished. And it's a cashless ecosystem. 3 to 4 years after it was implemented, Amazon was sued by local inhabitants of San Francisco who said, I want to buy goods in Amazon Go with cash. This is discriminatory. So now, guess what? At Amazon Go stores, you have cash acceptance as well. So cash will never go to zero. It just never will. As much as we love utopian situations, I think it will shrink. And that shrinkage has happened massively. So if you look at a rate of the shrinkage of cash usage or cash in the ecosystem, it's fallen massively. I think we can safely say for the first time, looking at reports, cash transactions are less than digital transactions. So digital transactions have taken over cash, but it still doesn't mean that we want to not reduce that further. So there is a push to reduce cash management, cash acceptance to as little as possible, but that's not the real aim. The real aim is to have digital acceptance, because the more digital acceptance I can build, the more data I can build. And the more data I can capture, the more intelligence I can build.
Great point.
Yes, and then the more intelligence I have, the more I understand who needs the service and what else do they need.
The behaviors.
Behaviors, requirements. You may require funding. You may require debt. You may be able to lend yourself and make money from it, right? And somebody can make money from that. Or it may be able to save you money. So there's so many things that come from data, and that's really why the drive for digitization of cash is there, or programmable money as we call it in the Web3 space. It's not for looking at things like taking cash out of the ecosystem. It's how can we build more businesses, structures, and revenues that will benefit the ecosystem and jobs worldwide? That's really the drive.
Okay. And what about digital currency?
Ooh, hot topic. So I got to watch where I step on this one, Ali. I mean, you're putting me in a spot, but if I'm going to be diplomatic about it, I'll try and say, when it comes to digital money, programmable money, we're only at the starting point. As with the advancement of most technologies, they're used for bad first than they are for good. As we've seen with the age of the internet exploding the way it has in the last 25 years. But if I pause there for a moment and say, what are the applications of digital money? I think if you look at the global ecosystem of transferring money, trust-based money, agents who are middlemen for money, that's the idea behind programmable or digital money. It's to basically say, how can I make things more efficient, faster, and cheaper for people to interact with each other using money in a safer manner? Because it should be the case. It's not can it be the case? We know it can be the case. But how do we do that with existing infrastructure? And this is the challenge of digital money. It's saying, do we need to use existing infrastructure? Or can I build my alternative rails? Can I build an alternative ecosystem that people embrace and provide these things without having to go through a process or have to take the blessings of somebody else? And this is disruption because major banks are out there saying, we're the go-to. You have no other choice. And people have pushed back saying, with the way technology is today, we don't agree. But the problem with that is the rush to embrace it in an unregulated fashion causes problems because regulators need to protect businesses, they need to protect ecosystems, and they need to protect consumers like you and me. And when you operate in an unregulated space, a lot of problems, a lot of negative impact too. So you end up doing more harm than good. So that's why I think regulators are learning as quickly as possible. So in my role as a founding board member of the MENA FinTech Association, for example, this is exactly what we want to do. We want to bring the disruptors closer to the regulators, and we interact globally with other regulators that are as advanced as possible to bring their learnings here to this ecosystem to give encouragement and confidence on the right path to adopt and move fast to do so. So I think I can very proudly say we're ranked number 4 globally as a financial technology institution in our short time that we've been going around, and we're continuing to grow and cause a very positive impact in this space.
Just to put more skin on it, regulations, local, regional, and global, is it hindering the process? Is it coming together? And how does all of that work with the lack of data or not having a universal format for the data?
It's a good question, and it's something we're only going to see the true path of navigation in the next 15 to 20 years. But in the short term, everyone is aligning.
Okay.
People recognize there's a need to embrace technology, but they're scared because of the capability sets of not being able to govern things. So while regulators get a bad rap for not really being as active in the space or experts in the space, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? So with that old, unfortunate example, the truth is there when you talk about billions and trillions of dollars moving around the world from one place to another. The negative impact it can cause is horrific if it's not managed properly. So I think there is a give and there is a take. So while regulators might look like bad people in the beginning, they're actually only doing a good job. So can they do it quicker? We can always criticize. Can they learn faster? Again, you can criticize. But as long as people are protected, the right technology will find the right people as quickly as possible. And I think the UAE government is pushing on that with the launch of programs like Al-Ittihad payments and the launch of Ani, which is doing P2P payments, which everyone's using now. So it's coming, relationships between India's UPI system and the UAE government on how to manage a fair infrastructure for the movement of money internally and externally is also happening. The first CDBCs, centralized digital currencies between the UAE and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for cross-border payments. There's a number of people that are doing this. Fuse, which is backed by Further Ventures in Abu Dhabi, is looking to provide regulated ecosystem rails for all businesses that want to interact with crypto and blockchain in a safe, regulated fashion. Fluent Ventures, cross-border payments. So much is happening. So it's moving. It's moving. So the input and creativeness is just so much that to push it all through one regulator, I do not envy that job myself. It's a tough one. It's a tough one.
But it's very, very comforting to know what you just shared with us. And thank you for shedding the light on it.
No, absolutely. My pleasure. And, this ecosystem from an entrepreneurship point of view has such a long way to go. It's fascinating. So there's so much opportunity yet to create out of the UAE. And I'm looking forward to actually spending more time traveling as well to look at other ecosystems more closely and bridge that gap. So it's going to be very, very, very interesting 2024 like I did with Singapore just now. I was there just now and I looked at that ecosystem. It was my first time there. And the only regret I have is that I didn't go sooner. So I think for me, I'm going to be looking at a lot more ecosystems and seeing how the UAE shapes up and stacks up and how things are done in a collaborative fashion between all these ecosystems. There's so much to do. So much to do. It's going to be a great next 5-10 years in the tech space.
Excellent. Best of luck on your coming ventures.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Ali.
So how the startup ecosystem look like from an investment point of view from the UAE?
I think the startup ecosystem here is maturing. We've had a point in the last 2 years where people have seen a lot of funding slowdown happening. It's been a natural effect of the economy globally. People are a bit worried, less taking of risk, assessing what valuations companies look like 3 years ago versus today. It's a totally different world because people are thinking a bit more short-term than they were long-term when it comes to disruptive businesses. So it's not just the UAE that's like that, it's the world. And obviously, what happens around the world, we're not exactly immune from. But the UAE is still very young in terms of the startup ecosystem, but it's maturing fast. So more VCs are coming to set up shop in the UAE because they see it as a great landing zone for setting up and incubating businesses, growing businesses, relocating some of their businesses for the world as well as the region. So the UAE has a very, very strong head start compared to its fellow nations surrounding us in the GCC area or even in MENA on how to actually go about creating the right elements for entrepreneurship and disruption to happen. So I'm very excited for the startup ecosystem. That's why we did Angel Spark. And Angel Spark is something where when we launched, we had 250 companies globally applying. And the first investment we made was into a 17-year-old coder, actually from Dubai. That's going to go to the US for university pretty soon. So again, it just shows you that the UAE can create global disruptive technologies that are backed by not only us, but some very prominent VCs and founders of extremely large multi-billion-dollar companies in the United States.
Wow.
Yeah.
Honestly, super impressive. And on top of that, what qualifies a startup to get funding?
It's an excellent question because that's changed a lot in the last 5 years. 5 years ago or 3 years ago, you could get funding based on an idea that just sat on a presentation or a piece of paper. People would invest in an idea and a team. Today, people want to see that somebody's built a business, they've run an idea, it's got market product fit, so you're not experimenting with somebody else's money till a business has traction and can generate sales. So the minimum things that a startup requires today to be a startup that requires funding is a business or an extremely proven team that's already sold a business. So it's the rare occasion that you find a founder that's sold a business once or sold a business twice that you say, we know you're capable of building and exiting. Here's the money before you even start, right? And on the other side of it, people who haven't had that experience, expertise, or pedigree will have to prove more today that what they say they can do and what they can build is validated not only in their own minds, but by their customers. So that's where it is today. So it's a tougher space, but I think we're going to kickstart it a little bit more with Angel Spark and a few other good people like Saudi Angels and other VCs that are happily trying to still participate in growing this ecosystem from Venture Souk to Global Ventures to Beko to Kotu. There's so many good people out there that are Sharuk. You name it, there are tons of people and groups that are pushing the envelope to try and keep this ecosystem growing and ticking along nicely.
Okay. Well, I cannot help but talking about the unicorn in the room.
Yeah.
What is a unicorn?
So a unicorn is a billion-dollar business or a business that gets to $1 billion valuation. And like you look at Tabi and Hossam Arab, they just raised and closed around at a $1.5 billion valuation. And he did that in 4 years. It's extremely impressive. And, hats off to him and his team and his resilience to to even in headwind markets still go forward and build a brilliant business, I mean, it's extremely admirable.
How contagious is that?
No, it's extremely contagious. It's contagious from the point of view that people who want to step into the region from an investor position or a startup position are definitely a lot more encouraged. They're confident, they're buoyant by looking at things like this. Also, it encourages people who are, in the region questioning, is it possible for people to still build technology businesses in a stronger market and achieve these great milestones? Again, it sends out the right message to the market. So kudos to them for, creating more buoyancy.
How inspirational. And that's what leaders do. They show the way and they tell us that it's possible, and more power to them and people like you who give back and help others and take them by the hand and, walk them through the initial steps and maybe beyond to achieve that kind of success.
I'm a big believer in things will always come back in a positive way. And, whether I'm working with organizations like TIE that work with women founders, that work with university and student founders, or like the MENA FinTech Association, or, sitting on the bank of Deem, the board over there, any of these positions that we sit in where we try and give back to the community or build up resilience is extremely important. Now, whether you invest or not is it's up to you. It's your volition. It's your conviction on people. But I really believe that it's a genuine obligation of business leaders in this community, because the UAE was built on business and culture, that we should give back and create opportunities where the ecosystem can grow, whether it's a student, whether it's a female founder, whether it's a fledgling business that requires support. It's not always about money. It's about building character. It's about also knowing that this country gave us an opportunity, and if we can give people insights to do good things, have a good life, raise a family, and hopefully because you paid it forward that way, they also give back. Karma will come back and reward you in one way or another.
Absolutely. And that's why the tagline of the Inners community and the podcast is, as we see here, come full circle.
Yeah.
And we're trying to spread good and, casting our ripples of spreading knowledge or funding or building character or being the best ambassadors, as we discussed before, for people around us, where we can inspire them and we get inspired by them. And this is what's the true definition of a proper community is.
I'm totally with you, which is why, what I'll leave you with is, I haven't officially announced it yet, but you'll hear here first, is why I created something called Perfect Circle Ventures, which is a culmination of everything I've been doing, where people who are looking for advice and help can come and reach out, and people can see the portfolio companies that we've worked with, that they can see the impact they've had in the community in one way or another that we've participated in. So that's why it's called also Perfect Circle Ventures, because we want to give back to the community from an investment point of view, from an advisory point of view, but at the same time, we want that community to be accessible to people. So what goes around comes around.
A huge congratulations and best of power and luck to you on that.
Thank you so much, brother. Really.
And with the circle, great minds think alike, I guess. So there you go.
Big power. Thanks.
Let's come to the fun part, where we get to know more about the man, the legend, the Mr. Gaurav. I'm going to ask you 8 favorite questions with some hidden questions over here.
Let's go.
Okay. I think it's going to be a difficult one.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
All right, I'm ready. Let's go.
What's your favorite dish?
I'm a Kashmiri, and I have to go with my mom's homemade Rogan Josh. Slow cooked mutton, maybe about for 4 or 5 hours in a red, spicy, creamy gravy that just It's like you can slice it with your little finger. It falls off the bone. It's so good. So you don't even need to eat it with anything. So mom's homemade Rogan Josh is the winner.
Oh my gosh. But I don't know if it's the food or your storytelling technique. But my mouth is drooling.
Well, we'll have you over when we're doing a big Kashmiri. Just don't eat for a few days. I swear, it's all slow cooking. Mom just knocks it out of the park. She doesn't know how to cook for 1 or 2 people. She only cooks for a couple of 100, an army at a time. So please do. Love to have you over.
It will be an honor and privilege. And that's the proper Kashmiri hospitality, I guess.
It is. It is.
Okay, but are you a good cook?
Actually, I am. I can really cook. Yeah.
What are we talking about here?
Oh, I mean, I can cook French food. I can cook Indian food.
Okay.
Breakfasts are my specialty. I can bake too. So yeah.
Wow.
I love my food. I love my food, and it's a great peace of mind cooking. It's a nice process from start to finish. So I love the cooking, and I love seeing other people enjoy the end result too. So whether you're looking for that perfect steak or you're looking for something else, yeah, come on over.
I love the confidence, and I happen to be a very good eater.
Great. Well, it matches.
There you go. Moving on to a very dear topic to our hearts, as far as I know. What's your favorite band or artist?
Oh man, that's not fair, Ali. How do you do something like that? One? Just one?
Hey, let's extend on that topic exceptionally.
All right. So I think I'm a person that recognizes mood as a fundamental of how you enjoy music, or music can create the mood that you're seeking. So I like music for moods. So let's say my go-to music for pick me up, rock and roll for sure, is the bass line. I think I love retro rock. I love, sort of Jack White kind of flex when it comes to White Stripes. I love First Aid Kid, Dire Straits, that sort of flex. But there's one band, one album that sort of did a combo of those, that even a hint of the Doors in there that I hear.
Ooh.
Wolf Mother, first album.
Amazing band.
I think that entire album is the most complete amalgamation of almost all the
Led
Doors,
Zeppelin-ish.
White Stripes. It's got the thump, it's got the kick, it's got the energy and the lyrics. I think So I think for me, Wolf Mother is a strong one. Yeah.
Okay.
If I had to choose just one, but that's just still not fair.
I hear you.
I could go on and on and on about, Air and Daft Punk and, some super retro stuff as well. Ella Fitzgerald. I love my classics. I love my blues. So much good music. So much good music. So it's the occasion. It's the mood that brings it out for me.
And we have a connoisseur here, people. Let's see the next one. What's your favorite movie?
Oh, God. So when it comes to movies, I have different movies for different vibes too. I have to say, family movies, Big Fish is one of my favorite. Rom-coms, where do you start? It's great. Suspense movies, from Usual Suspects to the classics. Black and white from your Alfred Hitchcock. I'm just as terrible when it comes to movies as I am to music. I just love them so much. I love watching my classics from the 20s and 30s. From Bogart all the way to Nolan's, Inception and Oppenheimer. I'm a big movie lover. Even things like Peter Jackson's B movies before he became famous and did Lord of the Rings, like Brain Dead. I don't know if you even know these movies.
Really?
Ooh.
No.
So Peter Jackson, and this is giving away the geeky side a bit too much perhaps, is if you look at his movies earlier to Lord of the Rings, Brain Dead, and a few others that are out there, they're hilariously terrible, but they showed you his capability of what he could do with a small budget. So when a small Emirati bunch of friends of mine realized from school and university that, Peter Jackson had become the man to lead Lord of the Rings movies, we knew what was coming. We knew. So I'm a big movie fan. Big movie fan.
And just to make it more challenging, what is your favorite TV series?
Oh, wow. Wow. Again, you're gonna hate me for this one, Ollie, but
It's a list.
It is a list. So when it comes to comedy or feel good, I think for me, Ted Lasso is my
Okay.
favorite current TV show. From sort of old age movies, I think Game of Thrones kills it. From an economic point of view on shows, for me, Billions and House of Cards
Yes, sir. Thank you.
are crazy. But you know what? I love my retro TV series. I love A-Team. I love MacGyver. I love Remington Steele, Hudson Hawk, Knight Rider. Jesus. I mean, I love all my old TV series too. Star Trek. Have you rewatched all the old Star Treks? Pretty amazing. Pretty actually. You can really rewatch those series. I got exposed to some really crazy sci-fi TV shows from back in the day, Firefly, everything else. There's a ton of good stuff out there.
I hear a great business opportunity over here. It's for you or for someone to find the magic formula so we can have 86 hours in a day so we can keep up with all of these amazing series
Oh, yeah.
and movies and music. And what brings us to our next question, which is your favorite book.
Ooh. So growing up as a kid, I was a very strong introvert, quite moody, broody kind of teenager. So for me, growing up as a kid, the Ayn Rand series of books were my favorite. Atlas Shrugged, the story of John Galt. For me, I actually feel the story of Bitcoin can be found in that book from an early parallel. So if you read Atlas Shrugged and the story of John Galt and the currencies that they have, sounds a lot like Bitcoin actually, and what Satoshi really wanted to create in elements. So I'd say I was a big Ayn Rand fan growing up. But as things moved on, as things evolved, my taste in books did too. So I got into a much lighter series of books if possible. So it's been a range, but I would say anything that stands out from favorite books that inspired or principled, I'd say it's the Ayn Rand books.
Okay. Okay. Totally different note. What's your favorite animal?
Controversial topic, I have to say. And there's a reason for that. I'm a dog fan.
Okay.
I love dogs. Dogs are friendly. Dogs are warm.
Who can argue that?
Problem is, I used to hate cats until one adopted me.
My heart just cracked. Okay.
So unfortunately, I was never a fan of cats. And in my villa near Safa, where I stay, a cat showed up one day and literally just asked to come in and told me it lived in the house now. And it's half cat, half dog from its mentality point of view. So it plays fetch, it does what I tell it to do, and does other things. So I've changed my mind on cats. It's a very strange thing, but so I don't have a dog in the house, even though I'm a dog lover. I have a cat that thinks it's a dog. So I'm perplexed. So it's controversial, but
Thank you. I hear you. I understand. I'm a cat dad myself. I have to. And indeed, they adopt us.
yeah, they do. So it's very
They're
funny.
my landlords.
Yeah, at least we know who the boss is in the house,
They
right?
are absolutely. And I'm their human.
Yeah, there you go. You're their human.
What's the name of your cat?
Mixie, Mixi. She's black and white, so that's the name she got.
She's the boss.
Yeah. She thinks too. She thinks she is. It's okay.
Cool. Now we're getting to the difficult question.
Mm-hmm.
Who is your role model?
So I think from a baseline perspective, I have two role models. So I'd have to say half of it is my mom and half of it is my dad.
How wonderful.
And it's genuinely the principles of everything they've taught me in life. There's been an echo of everyone else I've sought to admire from a leadership point of view afterwards. So whether it's the leader of Dubai or the leader of Abu Dhabi, our great leaders of this country,
Indeed.
or it's the leaders in business, the things that have drawn to me most in admiring them are their human qualities and their principal qualities more than the people themselves and what they stand for. So I have to say, it is, as crazy as it sounds, it's just my mom and dad, I think, are my role models really for everything else. And afterwards, to a large degree, in the way people conduct themselves, even some of my closest friends, who are around me before any other kinds of major leaders or figures in business or anything, or sporting. Yeah.
What a wonderful answer. Bless your family and your parents, and they raised a great man. They should be very proud of you.
Well, I can only do good and just enjoy things with them. And that's all I want to do. Just enjoy a good space and an ecosystem where people can give and create, and then enjoy things from there and learn from one another. So whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's business, call me crazy, but that's the way I want things to happen.
Family is everything, of course. We come to the last question, and let's see how difficult it is if you can pick just one.
Oh, no.
But please feel free to extend it. If you'd like to. What is your favorite city?
You can't. That's just a default answer. I mean, for me, I would say it's my default. It's my UAE. It can't be anything else. So I grew up in Sharjah. So I have a very special place in my heart for Sharjah, a very special place. Our family business was created in Dubai, but serviced the whole country and another 15 to 20 countries around the region. So Dubai has an extremely special place in my heart. And Abu Dhabi, I have very close friends, Emirati friends, and in Dubai, Sharjah and Abu Dhabi. But Abu Dhabi has also been equally special for me in a number of ways. And so I think, even our race, our Mille Miglia race, which we do every year, is across the whole UAE. It's not just in one city. So I think that's my reflection of my love for this country is the same reflection I have. I can't do just one city. It has to be my UAE.
Well, rephrase the question to what's your favorite country?
You got your answer, brother. You got your answer.
Excellent. But for a world traveler like you, what other countries that you've been to that spoke to you?
The countries that have spoken to me the most, I think Singapore has been super interesting for me. I just came from there now. And it's a bit of East, it's a bit of West. It's a bit of UAE as well. So that was an interesting eye-opener. But I think a country that spoke to me most from an exploratory point of view right now is North America. I think North America has a genuine can-do attitude when it comes to entrepreneurship and creativity in many ways, good and bad. There's a lot of learnings from there, and they're way ahead of the curve in how they construct models for people to build businesses, create businesses, whether they're marketing-led businesses or whether they're disruption technology-led businesses. So I think from a learning point of view and a curiosity point of view, the United States is somewhere where I want to spend more time. But from a curiosity and a cultural point of view and an opportunity point of view, I want to spend a lot more time in Latin America. At some point, I would like to traverse China and the Far East, Korea, Japan. Seems to be a strong calling for me personally for a long time. And this trip to Singapore has done nothing but only encourage and amplify that. So I think traveling to the east, further east for me, and some uncharted territories will be there, along with Africa as a continent. There's a need for me to go to Africa as a continent and spend some time there next year, as well as the Far East. So I think I'll go to Africa, go to the Far East, touch the US, and then come back. So lots to do.
Wow.
Lots to do.
I'm sure all going to be very gratifying experiences and worthwhile. So we opened Pandora's box now, and I cannot, help but use the tricks under my sleeves. And here we go with the hidden questions.
Alrighty.
Any regrets?
Ooh. Yes, I have quite a few regrets, but if I was to structure my regrets or compartmentalize them where it's useful for other people to learn from too, it's letting fear win. It's letting fear get in the way of a good idea, or doing something good because of, well, fear. And I think to extend on that, the most prevalent part of fear and overcoming fear that I think gets in the way is fear of failure. Failure and its fear and its correlation is a huge cause for good people not acting and being passive. And that actually is detrimental, not only to the individual, but to society. So if good people have fear to do or act because they feel they will fail, that is something we need to overcome as entrepreneurs, society, creators, and people who want to advance the active uplifting of a community as a whole. So regret for me, many of them in particular, but failure, fear is, failure. You can learn. You learn from failure. You learn more about yourself. You learn about what was wrong. So fail fast. Don't let fear of failure take over. That's something I have a big regret on. Big regret. It's still work in progress on a number of things. So it's definitely the main thing.
You are very humble.
Yeah.
And that's a very powerful message. So overcome fear of failure, fail fast and fail forward. A lot of F words over here.
Yeah.
There you go.
It takes a lot. It's very tough. And that's why people need to seek out support, whether it's from an advice point of view, from a therapy point of view, from a friend point of view.
Yes.
People shouldn't feel isolated in the journey they're taking, whether it's personal or for work.
And speaking of, what are your most proud of moments or work accomplishments?
Clearly the most proud moment I have is when our business caught fire and burnt down to the ground. And this happened about 4 or 5 years ago. One of the stores and the buildings next to our office caught fire, and it spread quickly to the office next door to us. And by the time it reached our office, it was out of control. So what happened is we had a full day of work. It was Ramadan, and I'll never forget that. It was, I think, the first or second day of Ramadan, and people had just started fasting. And I saw people running through the office, and the fire had spread to the back of our office, and it was there. I remember running through the office one time, pushing everyone out of the office, and I remember doing a second sweep of the office. And I remember my whole left hand getting exposed and burnt. There was no hair on my entire left arm because the smoke was so hot. It burnt my entire arm, everything. And I had to crawl out of my own office on my hands and knees to escape the smoke that was coming out. But I was proud that managed to get everyone out of the office and safe. That was my most proud personal moment. And very close to that, the second most proud moment was the way the team came together. That you saw this building where I grew up in it. I literally grew up in this building. Was on fire, and it was burning down in front of you for 8 hours in front of your eyes. So you just lost, 30 years of history. Your home, effectively, is up in smoke. And everyone came together to put their hands together, not looking at it like a corporate, but like a family, rebuilding the business. And the way the local community rallied around us, my ex-father-in-law, who has an office nearby, gave us temporary working space. An Emirati friend created space in his new building for us. Friends of mine who work in the police in Dubai were assisting us with things on paperwork just because it's Ramadan. It's tough. The community banded around you. The people came around. So for me, that was very proud. I was very proud to be a part of that experience as well, and that journey from rebuilding and doing everything else, not just an accomplishment of business and money. I think that was definitely my most proud moment. Yeah. A second close one was probably the Mille Miglia race. That was extremely proud too, because from a cultural perspective, you look at what this country has from the Formula One to the World Cup of horse racing, rugby sevens, big premier events. And so for me, that was also a very personal, proud moment, big shout out to Shahab Gargash and the Gargash family for always being absolute supporters of the advancement of the UAE when it comes to culture and business and entrepreneurship. Really, have to give them big mention in terms of their openness and willingness from a cultural and the entrepreneurship point of view.
And proud you should be indeed, rightly so, for both experiences. But the fire experience is, hearing such stories, it what makes me tear up, really. I'm trying to hold it back, but
it was tough.
It was tough.
Yeah. I mean,
humanity and the human spirit, when you see people coming together and saving others, and it also just reminded me to the recent events that's been going on, and how also the UAE was the first responder, as they've been always in all of the unfortunate events that's been happening in the past years. And this is how we all, grew up to be, especially being in Dubai and United Arab Emirates. And this wonderful, and congratulations again.
Yeah, man, it's everything's a growing experience. Everything's a learning experience, and we can do it together, and we can do great things together. And that's always the lesson. That's always the takeaway. Negative things will happen. Bad things will happen. Bad people, bad incidents, but
how you react to it.
Just remember, you have good people available. Time moves forward. You can create more. You can do good. You can do good.
We can. Together, we can even achieve more.
Absolutely. And we got to do it by example. If we're leaders in the community, we can't expect to do it but by any other thing but by example. So let's go. Let's do this.
And there are no better words to end up our session today.
Man, thank you so much, Ali, for having me, brother. Really a pleasure.
It is truly an honor, privilege, insightful, inspirational, and really touching. I can't wait to have the next session with you. I'm going to take you up on it.
You got it. Anytime. I'm ready.
And on the food treat.
I'll call my mom.
Fair enough. Gaurav, thank you very much.
Brother.
Thanks, brother.
It's been a pleasure.
Likewise. Thank you. Hello, Inners community. Hope you enjoyed this session. We'd like to know your comments and thoughts. Most importantly, please do share the episodes and the micro content. The purpose of this podcast is to exchange experiences and share knowledge and raise awareness. So be part of the change. Create your waves. Let the ripple effect reach to everyone, where all of good action comes full circle. And please do remember to hit the like button and the subscribe button, and I'll see you next session.